This is the Real Footy Podcast. Coming up, the Saints exercise the demons with some Wanganeen-Milera brilliance. How did they pull off the heist, and how did Melbourne get the last quarter so badly wrong? Plus, the Suns make a statement against Brisbane in the Q Clash. The Giants turn around their fortunes with a near-perfect quarter, and the Cats dine out on Souvers against the Larkey-less Roos. All of that and more right after this.
Dunkley versus Reid, keeps him honest, and then just swan dived on him. Oh, and now Starcevich Johnson. You don't want to get in Ben Long's way.
This is great to see, Anthony. This is what we haven't seen from Gold Coast Suns. But when they played the Brisbane Lions at recent times, they haven't been physical.
Meyer checked through the middle to Nick Dacos. A little bit of a fake. Then he got around Brown. Then he loads up vacant goal square. That's class. That is class.
Now, away we go. Marshall, Wanganeen-Milera! Siren sounds for the greatest comeback in the history of VFL, AFL football. What?
Hello and welcome. My name is Michael Gleeson, and joining me today are Jake Niall and a chuckling Caroline Wilson.
Can
Welcome
there
to
be
you both.
any more kebab analogies from you, Michael
I love
Gleeson? It took you halfway through your 4 points column.
To move on.
My Lord.
Well, you know.
Was it disrespectful of danger to be eating a souvlaki on the bench, Jake?
Oh, well,
What's
you know, winners are grinners. And,
It's unusual.
What's disrespectful about it? He'd been subbed out and he was having something to eat. I think it would have been disrespectful if he drove home and left the game. But,
Like a few other people would have felt like doing.
yeah.
a whole lot of things happened in the past that we never saw because we didn't have cameras on everyone all the time. So these things have always gone on. It's not as, I mean, Bomber having the ham, was it the ham roll?
The salad and ham sandwich.
Yeah,
roll.
in the box. Geelong seemed to be able to be in cruise control possibly over
Tim
the
Watson
years
with
more
the Jim Jelly Beans, wasn't it?
Well,
Tim
you
Watson,
obviously
Tim-
thought it was newsworthy because
I'm not
you...
newsworthy. I just found it amusing. It was a good hook into the thing because it did feel like, you know, what you do at the end of a night, you're just sort of sitting back, and I did think the rest of the team were, I said, having tequila shots and dancing on the tables
Souvlaki
by
mode.
comparison.
Well, yeah, and it was Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera who single-handedly resurrected one of the worst rounds of footy I can remember for many a long year, Jake.
till the week before that.
Yeah, well, it was heading
the
to be
fixture
worse.
going? Yeah.
Oh, shocking.
Anyway, it's funny because the game was one of the deader rubbers you'd find. What a game with little meaning. And it ends up having two major subplots out of it. One being Wanganeen-Milera and just how good this guy is, what's he worth, St Kilda with DeConning. It plays into all those which Michael wrote about and a lot of people were commenting on immediately after the game as it unfolded. And the other thing, of course, is Melbourne being a shambles at the end of the game and how the hell they stuffed up at the very end with the 666, which, Michael, you've written about. Do you want to go through what happened?
I don't think it's just that last 10 seconds.
No.
This is a 46-point comeback.
Go through the last 10
I'm trying to work
seconds.
out still the last bit. First of all, Wanganeen-Milera takes the great hanger and threads the goal, scores a level, goes back to the centre.
8 seconds.
8 seconds to go. Only need one back. So Melbourne have had, I think it was a defender stepped over and they had they broke the 666 thing. They'd already had a warning. So then they were told, no, but you, and so they all rushed. Melbourne then rushed to try and defend. Just everyone ran back thinking, well, the free kick's going to be taken. No, they had to be brought in to set up the field still as per the rules. Apparently, that's what we were learning in the commentary. I didn't know that was the case until then. Clearly, Melbourne didn't either. But St Kilda then, and maybe it's down to the depth of granular training that they have. But St Kilda had a plan. The three players out on the ground, Marshall, Wanganeen-Milera and Windhager, had a plan of what they would do, like an NFL plan. They described it afterwards that they would basically, Wanganeen-Milera would peel off. They'd create space for him because they knew full well if you just bomb it and hope to, the natural inclination is just bomb it forward and try and scunge a goal.
But Jack Viney was in there. Why didn't somebody? Why was there no one?
They had 7 forwards. Is that right?
St Kilda.
No, Melbourne. The infringement. Yeah. The key point here, the most important point, is what caused the infringement.
Yeah,
and that is, once the ball was going forward, St Kilda only had to get in 8 seconds a mark or a free and a shot once. I mean,
a rush behind.
A rush behind. Well, the suspense about the kick, well, there's no suspense. His score was he was always going to score from 40 metres out, 45 metres out. He was always going to score. So once he had the mark, the game was over. But what led to that infringement is the key point.
The funny thing with it is that it shouldn't have required a 6-6-6 rule because there's no advantage, no real logic. Okay, you can send an extra forward but that's not going to save you the game. I mean, logically, you do just want even numbers because you've.
So
you've
is
still got
that
to
down to Mark Williams, who
was
was on the bench? Is it to Simon Goodwin? Is it to Max Gawn? And I mentioned Viney again because he must have seen where Wanganeen-Milera was going.
You could see him peel away, and I don't know if it was Viney, but the Melbourne player couldn't go with him or didn't go with him. Now, Wanganeen-Milera, the most perplexing thing out of it was that Wanganeen-Milera was the hottest player on the ground. If he's not the hottest player in the competition or one of the 3 hottest players in the competition at the moment, he's the one you worry about. He's just kicked the goal. He is the guy that's going to win it for them. And you don't have someone just thinking, I'll sit on him, unless you don't want to be the player that is isolated with Wanganeen-Milera and has the job. And I thought that they seemed like they sensed the inevitability of it through that last quarter as well, Melbourne. I mean, Clayton Oliver missing that, not scoring from that snap, that would have, it was bizarre that he just didn't hit a score at all.
Point would have won the game.
Point would have won the game. Well, you assume so. Things changed as a result.
I think so, because it was under 2 minutes at that point.
So Jake, do you think this improves the likelihood that Wanganeen-Milera stays at St Kilda?
I think it improves the likelihood that he'll be paid an incredible amount of money.
Obviously that, but do you think...
Does it
because
it can't hurt. It can't hurt because, I mean, he's had this glow of a victory, even though it's a dead rubber. It's a glow of a victory. He's the man, and I think that St Kilda...
An historic victory.
Well, when we say historic, I preface all this with this game will not be... It'll be remembered for Wanganeen-Milera and for the comeback sides, but it won't be... It's not a game of consequence in teams building towards a premiership. This is not... Let's be frank here. These are 2 teams that were nowhere near the 8 and have been very disappointing for different
It's a game
reasons.
that you'll rewatch for the last 2 minutes.
Statistically, it's historic.
Yes.
And
no, what I mean is it doesn't impact on finals.
No, of course. Yep.
So does it help or hinder the trade if not only has his price gone up, what would you have to give up for Wanganeen-Milera now? Like if it was Port or Adelaide, then... Yeah. You're talking now that you can future trade 2 years in advance. You're talking a lot. Well, you're talking about as comparable, player for player.
I mean, Miles Bergman isn't going to get it done.
No, he's recommitted as well, but
but that doesn't. I mean, maybe that's why he recommitted. I mean, just let's be. I think that. Look, I don't know, but if I had to call it now, I just feel he's going to stay at St Kilda, and St Kilda will. Last week. I said 1.4 million a year over 2 years, which was what they were looking at. St Kilda will pay more than that. And their business network, Jake, surely will get involved. I mean, they don't have Hungry Jack's franchises like they do in WA, but there will be networks that will make life much better for Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera should he choose to stay at St Kilda. And you can't lose him and get to Koning because the look would be so bad.
I think the thing is you can argue that St Kilda in the very start of this should have had the Selwood rule. You developed the Selwood principle, which was that when Patrick Dangerfield came across from Adelaide to Geelong, he couldn't be paid more. He could be paid the same, but he couldn't be paid more than Joel Selwood.
Yeah, and you know what the conversation was after that? They went straight to Selwood and said, we need to organise you a pay rise.
What I mean is that if you have Wanganeen-Milera, if he's in the top, at the moment, the top 4 or 5 AFL players, which I think he is right at the moment in impact,
Without doubt.
Sorry?
Without doubt.
Yeah, so you can't really have someone on 400, 500,000 more than him. So you either have to get that to basically nothing. So St Kilda are going to have to, the bottom line is they're going to have to pay him closer to 1.7 million. Well, I don't think. Do you think they've got an alternative here?
No, and you know what about De Koning? Go to the draft, build a team around this kid. Really, I mean, is De Koning that important? Do they feel they're too committed?
I think they're committed to De Koning.
Well, you've got Wanganeen-Milera, who at the moment is as hot as anyone as good a player. He's in the top, along with Jeremy Cameron, obviously 11 goals. Nick Dacos, Bontempelli, he's right there in that bracket of players.
Noah Anderson's getting up there
Noah
too.
Anderson as well. De Koning isn't even in the best 3 players at Carlton at the moment, let alone the AFL. So,
well, this is the thing, is that clubs like St Kilda have to understand that they have to build through the draft. They're not destination clubs. They can't. If they get a player, then they end up paying for an A- player, which De Koning, if he was going first half of the year, he was playing like a, almost A-grade player. Back end of the year, he hasn't. But he's a high-end talent.
I know it becomes a bit sort of amateur soccer, but you looked at the finish of that game and you go, I can't see that guy leaving. Like the way he was mobbed, the excitement, the love and the joy out of that game. You think
the safe thing to do here, if you're him, is to sign for 2 years and essentially have St Kilda on probation.
Line yourself up with Ross Lyon, who's got 2 years to go. And then
if they're no good in 2 years, if they're still
back yourself in, but very quickly on Melbourne.
I was going to ask
Simon Goodwin.
Well,
this doesn't help his prospects at all.
I think that they just feel like a rudderless club. You've got the CEO, the president in waiting overseas. I mean, Brett Green, yes, is president now. You haven't got the CEO appointed yet. You've got
appointed but not working.
Well, appointed but not hasn't commenced the job. The on-field leadership, Max Gawn spoke about it. There's 5 games we didn't know how to win this year. This is on-field. They have stuffed it up, and they stuffed it up in finals previously to this. This is in those critical moments. They are a team that has lost a lot of those critical close games because they don't know how to. They seem to lack cohesion and understanding of what they need to do, and lack that on-field leadership. I don't know what changes that prompts then.
I think there's major off-field change at Melbourne at the end of the year. I can't call the Goodwin scenario. I feel that...
I think the safer thing for them to do is to keep him for his contract.
Yep.
Not any discussion of renewal at all. More like Luke Beveridge. A Beveridge option where you change things around him. I think that's been more likely where it has been going, notwithstanding this result is a spanner in the works potentially.
So maybe Alan Richardson moves somewhere else as head of footy,
coaches.
Maybe assistant coaches. I just look at that Beveridge re-signing, Jake, and I just don't understand why, A, the Bulldogs signed him when they did and why he signed when he did, because I have no doubt Melbourne were not ruling out having a crack at him later this year. At the time he re-signed, Fremantle were looking dodgy. Now, that's no longer the case, but you couldn't guarantee Justin Longmuir. Who knows Carlton and Michael Voss, and he's an impact coach. Now, I don't know why Luke Beveridge's advice wouldn't have been just sit tight. And Bulldogs have now, I mean, maybe they will make the 8. They've got a pretty soft draw, but they might not. And that's a really disappointing year for them, and they've recommitted to a guy who I think needs a fresh start. Well, to be blunt.
Yeah, they're all valid points, but Goodwin's situation is not exactly like Beveridge. There's some parallels in that it's been 2 years where they had high hopes and they've gone down. Now they're kind of in a quasi rebuild.
Yep.
It's not a full rebuild, it's a partial rebuild. But I think, and I've written about this, I think they made a big mistake with Clayton Oliver. I think that possibility...
They should have traded him.
100%.
So that brings it back, Jake, to that thing of... So if we say they're going to stick with Simon Goodwin for the terms of that contract, are they not also handcuffed by these other contracts now as well on the field? So you've got Goodwin, Petracca, Oliver, when it feels like it's a moment of intervention that you would normally have. You would normally have gone, okay, whether it was Oliver or Petracca, they bungled the Oliver trade, didn't go through with it. Now they're locked into it, I think. And Petracca, it feels like they're locked into it. So
they would have had
is there a way of breaking on all of this?
Well, they could try Oliver again, but I just don't think he's going to have it's going to be much harder to do it. Geelong were keen. Oliver was keen. I think the thing was Oliver was keen to go to Geelong, and I think that's where they were going to have to pay some money of the contract, but they're going to save, from what I understand, close to $1 million a year. Now, I think that's a no-brainer. I think that's a deal.
I don't think that's on the table anymore.
Well, it won't be. So that they've missed that opportunity. they could have got a reset there. They could have used that money. They needed something to change the dynamic because that 2021 into 22-23, you look back on it, Caro, 23 was their big chance.
Yep.
They had a bit of bad luck, but they also blew it. They were kicking the ball up in the air too much in those finals. And they had some poor decisions at the end of those games, particularly in the Carlton game. And the Collingwood game, they were just bombing all the time. And
then they lost Angus Brayshaw.
They lost Angus Brayshaw as a good leader. Now, if Angus Brayshaw, let's go a ridiculous hypothetical, if he's out on the ground, do they win that game? Because he's a good leader behind the ball. You know what I mean? It's not just you're playing.
Stephen May would have helped.
Yes, he would have.
Yeah, yeah.
But he wasn't going to play anyway. He was concussed from last week. But still.
You mentioned Noah Anderson as being into that group of right at the very elite right at the moment.
His first half was extraordinary on the weekend.
That goal that he kicked, the second one to break open effectively the game in that second quarter was so much like the one the week before against Collingwood, and where he just was 2 weeks before, where in that when he won the game for them, breaking from the centre, first of all recovers the ball, then the 1-2 handballs and goes forward. We spoke last week about how well they probably, I think I was on this podcast, but that they don't win because they just don't beat Brisbane. They always, it's the big brother thing. They just get pushed around and bellied.
No, I think someone in our group would have, but I certainly didn't. Look, and I thought about that tip longer than any other tip because I thought they're going to have to, and Brisbane have been going along, no, I just went, they don't. I
thought about the St Kilda Melbourne one more than anyone.
I went with the Saints.
Yeah,
I went with the Saints. I was very happy about that.
I went with Melbourne.
Oh, look, I don't blame you. I mean, that was
Felt
tricky.
Pretty smug about it at 3/4 time.
I bet you were. Well, as we said, I mean, we just got to mention again, like the Gold Coast. Well, that was just a great execution of brilliant footy, and seeing Brisbane so outpointed, and the GWS comeback was pretty remarkable too. But it was a putrid round of football, Jake. Putrid.
So, on the Gold Coast, they've got Richmond at home next week, Carlton at Marvel, GWS at home, Essendon at home, and then Port Adelaide in Adelaide to run home. They should make that. They should make finals now.
Who's that?
Gold Coast.
They'll make finals easily.
A little bit easily.
They can make the top 4.
Well, they can. They could also. It's Gold Coast. They could easily lose a bunch of those.
Well, having that final game against Essendon, I mean, that's like a gift, isn't it? I think Essendon are down to their last fit player. They're in all sorts, Essendon, and I'm not so worried about them long term, but this year they're skewing the competition in terms of integrity. It's not their fault. Well, just as North Melbourne are doing, really. Well, they're deciding Colemans and Brownlows and.
I agree. I seem to be a lonely voice in this, but the fixture around some teams, and Adelaide could well finish first, and they've been fantastic, but they're playing North twice and West Coast twice.
Yeah, but where did they finish last year? I mean, it's not as...
It's a competition. It's not a handicap.
Well, it has to be a handicap. How else do you do it if you've got teams that you can only play two teams, a number of teams twice?
The Brisbane Lions, the best team they've played twice this year, the least able team that they're playing twice this year is the Swans. They have to play Collingwood twice, including this weekend. That'll be a big game. They have to play Gold Coast twice. They're 1-1 with Gold Coast. They've had to play Geelong twice. Beat them twice, and Geelong are probably going to finish above.
Gold Coast at the time. I mean, they hadn't made finals,
and they're always going to play at the local state.
Well, hang on,
and you're always going to play.
How
them
on
twice.
earth did Geelong Football Club, who made the prelim, I might add, last year, end up with these teams twice? You explain to me. St Kilda twice, Essendon twice, and Richmond twice. I understand Port Adelaide; they finished top 4, but those other 3. And the 2 teams they've played twice that are any good, the Giants and Brisbane, how do they go in those games? 0-4. And they're a better chance of making the top 4 on what's running home than Brisbane, who beat them twice. And this is not right.
Yep.
This is not right. I might be a lonely voice.
How do you fix it?
You change the fixture to base it not completely on marketing. You have to look at fairness. And by the way, the marketing will end up better because it'll end up being fairer. You won't have these.
You've always got to have showdowns, Jake. You've got to have 2 showdowns.
No, you divide it into, there's 18 teams, each lot of 3. So you only play 1 team from each lot of 3. So it spreads the risk of these sort of. And as for the floating fixture with the Thursday and Friday nights, how's that gone?
Well, they've stuffed it up.
And as for the 6-round round robin in the middle of the season, I don't like that. Came up the other week.
Yeah, I don't know if there's many solutions to that. The AFL are convinced that people want a game every Thursday night. They want a game every Friday night.
Well, they don't want to watch Essendon.
That's just not true.
No, that's extraordinary, their ratings. And they've just killed Thursday and Friday night footy. It's been a terrible result.
Yeah. Well, again, whether it's marketing, it comes down to people love Thursday night footy apparently. Well, yeah, maybe not. Maybe they certainly don't like going to it. Not in the middle of winter. Don't have it all year round. Have it as it was previously, where there were handfuls of games. And
Memo to the AFL: bigger club doesn't mean a better game to watch.
No.
Essendon, yeah, they're very big. Carlton, yeah, they're very big. They're big, great clubs over their history. Right at the moment, they ain't good to watch.
No, they're not.
Carlton, someone said to me in footy, said there's a kind of macabre thing about people watching Carlton, but that's not the case with Essendon. I just find it depressing.
Yeah, it's just sad.
Yeah,
I mean,
no players left.
The look on the captain's face when who did his umpteenth hamstring on Friday night?
Ridley.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, why would they? They must sell them more ice than any other club. 390-point blowouts. Dogs 93, Cats 101, Crows 98. That just sort of sums up that crap round, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, they actually changed it though. Do you think Thursday nights is a lock?
Yeah, definitely a lock. Definitely a lock. They won't. They'll relook at the fixture, and obviously Channel 7 have had some serious issues, and I think met the AFL last week in a bid to change round 23. Sorry, round 24. 23. No, 23. The second last round, in particular, the Friday night game, but because of 5-day breaks and so forth, they're not going to get any joy there. So. Whatever happens, if Essendon, I don't think they might even just televise that Essendon game, because Essendon have to play on the Thursday night.
Essendon and Carlton are playing in the Mockbuster.
Is that there?
This last week, yeah, they got the Thursday night, and they're weighing up the double Thursday, the Doomsday double of. No, the other game is the Ken Hinckley's
Gold Coast Port. Well, if I was 7, I'd be showing that game. Gold Coast Port.
Yeah. Well, didn't Seven have a say though in getting Essendon?
Yeah, a bit of a say.
Apparently.
Yep, they did, and because of the way it all worked out. But even the Essendon CEO came out over the weekend and said, "We don't like Thursday nights.
They don't want their fans to see it. They should sell a red and black blindfold and go to the ground.
Finger prison.
Time to go off Broadway. Before we go to a break, can we just a word on Nick Dacos, who we only mentioned?
Pretty good player, isn't
he? Yeah, I mean it's so. Like, I feel like he's going to win the Brownlow. But then I look at Jordan Dawson and Noah Anderson.
Yeah, Noah Anderson, I think, is a sneaky. Not that sneaky, but...
Raoul's not exactly out of it
no.
either.
Well, it was like in the second half, Raoul said, hang on, I'm still here.
You know how the father-son thing, so you look at him and go, okay, his dad used to do that. And the way he moves and some of the kicking and this thing. But he took a mark against Prestia, on the boundary that was very Peter. It just sort of protected the zone and then marked the ball right on the boundary, and it just looks so much like Peter with those.
But he didn't kick the goal that time.
That was unlike Peter, and Peter would have kicked it. But we say that about every single shot that he misses.
It's going to be an absolutely thumping Brownlow medal count. It's exciting.
Yeah, I don't think he was early in the year. He was going. No, I don't think he was going as well. I don't think it's the fait accompli.
No,
I heard Jared Waitley talking about it as I came in, and he was saying, "Oh, look, he's going to win the Brownlow," and I'm thinking, well, Nathan Buckley, funnily enough, was a bit more circumspect. Me too. I think that I think Rao will poll very well, just on Anderson, because they like the umpires like the inside players, and I think Jordan Dawson, given how Adelaide have had these huge wins, someone's getting a hell of a lot of votes, and I think it'll be him, not Rankin.
What about Bailey
Phil
Smith?
Thorpe will get some, but
yeah, I think Bailey Smith's trailed off though.
Yeah, I agree with that,
and I think Holmes will get votes too.
Well,
so I would
Jeremy
fancy
Cameron's
Anderson,
on 89 goals. When is he on? 69 goals.
They don't.
89.
They don't.
No, but he's going to have. I mean, you can't. He's going to get 3 on Saturday, isn't he?
I wouldn't be surprised.
11 goals.
I reckon they could give it to Bailey Smith, knowing the umpires and their midfielder love. No, look, of course he should.
Think about Raoul, why he gets them too. Have you ever seen him remonstrate, like even be surprised at a free kick, let alone he just gets up and moves on to the next bit of play? He's sort of like Robert Harvey like that. He just sort of, it's irrelevant to him.
Yeah. So, I remember that talking to Anderson and Raoul years ago, both of them, was particularly, actually this time Anderson, and him talking about those two guys arriving, because they were both scholarship kids to Carey, to turn the Carey program around. And they got to the point in their last year, Carey won the APS title. And the parallels with Carey Grammar and Gold Coast for those two guys is quite...
Very age anecdote of you, Jake. We'll take a break there and come back.
We need Jake to revisit his private schools article, which was fascinating. That was a couple of years ago now, but it could almost have a sequel, Jake.
Well, those two guys, though.
As I said, we'll take a break there, come back with Giants and North Melbourne.
We're online all the time. Just search Age Real Footy on Facebook or Twitter.
In fact, 10 of the last 12, and it's almost as perfect a quarter of footy as you'll see. And they might not be done with yet. It tumbles inside 50. Stringer. Oh, he could he? He could he? Oh, this is just ridiculous. This is just incredible football.
Welcome back. Carrie, you mentioned it earlier, but the Giants' comeback was a fairly statement performance. And it pretty much killed off Sydney's lingering hope of finals.
It did, and unfortunately, they now go into the Bulldogs game without their captain, who did something really stupid in the last quarter when he put that elbow into Isaac Heaney. And they've lost Buckley and Kelly for the rest of the home and away season as well. So that becomes a really tough game for GWS now. But let's celebrate what was good. I mean, Toby Greene, second half, he just came alive and showed such great leadership, which was why it was so disappointing that he did something so stupid.
Gee, that's a big game.
Late in the game.
Bulldogs,
Giants it's huge.
Like the Bulldogs just about have to win it, don't they?
Yep.
Yeah.
To make the finals?
Yep.
Well, not just about. Yeah, I think they do.
I think they've got
I think they could still get in without
They've got Freo one of the last rounds in
Melbourne.
But
without Buckley and Greene, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's a tough ask, I reckon.
The thing is, those two teams, they have some real animus between them. You go back to the Bontempelli Green stuff. You go back to the finals of, what was that year, 2019, where that all went nasty and Nick Haynes, he got cleaned up, I think. And then there was the not the karate kick, but whatever it was.
Oh, yeah,
Toby's.
yeah.
What about the Battle of the Bridge
incident?
And Tom Papley coming back into the team? I mean, you actually realise how much Sydney missed Tom Papley early in the season.
What did you think of the sledge?
The fat shaming?
Yeah, fat shaming.
Well, didn't Papley fat shame Jake Stringer on the bench beforehand? He was grabbing at his side.
Yeah.
And I think that's what prompted it.
Yeah.
And, it is unusual. It is unusual. When I watched him say it, I was like, did he just say that? I agree. I don't think there's going to be any fine. But it is quite funny when, at the one end you've got the AFL banning weights and you're not allowed to do skin folds anymore and blah, blah, blah.
Don't list the weight of
players. And then he was all-Australian captain, wasn't he?
Well, it's like,
2 years ago?
It's like the AFL banning weights. And like, oh, no, we can't see what size someone is.
Yeah.
We can't, we're blind. We can't actually see if someone's 5 kilos overweight.
What was extraordinary about it was Papley was unsighted almost in the second half.
There's also something a little bit inevitable about Jake Stringer getting on a roll too, just as they were running over the top of them. It just sort of thought Stringer's going to be getting a couple here, and sure enough, he did.
Oh, and a couple of those moments, Callaghan just looks like Judd when he breaks from a pack at times.
That was a Brownlow medalist performance, wasn't it?
Good to watch. Good player.
He was a difference. He was extraordinary.
Look, we touched on the Suvas earlier, but let's fold back to that. Clarko and North Caro, they've gone down this path and 18% winning record now at North. They've tried everything else beforehand since Prescott left and rebuilding and tried different coaches and felt like they'd brought in some players this year to give them that bit of stability. Luke Parker and Caleb Daniel, Jack Darling forward. There's still they're facing a sixth season of bottom two.
And more excuses from Alastair after the game about the young team. I think they were on paper the second youngest team playing on the weekend, if you average out the ages. But yes, they did bring in experience, and Simpkin's not exactly a baby anymore. So, yes, they were missing a couple of important players, but that was as pathetic a performance as we've seen from any team all year, Jake.
Which is saying something.
Which is saying something.
Even to be the worst of the round is saying something.
You give, it's right. You give Alastair Clarkson a leave pass for year one. So with everything that was going on in his life. So year one was really last year. This was the year that they've been given the draft concessions, the favours, the fixturing. That there was no excuse for how slowly this is taking North Melbourne to develop. Yeah. I mean, I'm not buying into the Richmond thing. I mean, I never thought Richmond wouldn't win a game, and Richmond have got more experienced players, and they've got premiership players still on their team.
Yeah, well, just to do a quick contrast with Richmond, who were really manful against Collingwood. Richmond had 7 premiership players. It might have been 8, and they had Taranto pull out before the game, but they still had Hopper, of course, who played a great game. But to have those 7 or 8 players, including Nankervis and including Vlosten, and having Bolter, give them that structure, I think it's huge. That's the strip back thing is always.
I mean, North had Simpkin. They've got Davies Uniacke, who's not young.
Those guys have never played in a good team. They've never played in a good team. The Richmond guys have played in a good team. Those guys never have.
Yeah,
it's not good, and it doesn't look like it's working with Alastair Clarkson. He's got another year on his contract. Is that correct? He's got next year.
No, he's got 2 years.
2 more years.
2 more years.
Next year will be the year. If it doesn't work out next year, I think they make a move.
But this is the point they carry. Like, what's the point of making a move on Clarko when they tried other things to fix it, and then they said, well, at least if we bring in Clarko, we know we're bringing in a proven coach who knows what he's doing. We can just bank that as being an okay. That's something we've got right. And then you turn around and say, oh, we better throw that out now too because that doesn't seem to be working. I think it's
what they need to do.
You say they make a move. So that's $1 million plus contract.
Yep.
So you'd have to eat a club in North Melbourne's position who are heavily on AFL funding would have to eat $1 million payout.
They're just not
plus.
Okay, so
what I mean is I'm not sure that that's viable. And what would the other clubs feel about it?
No, Jake. Okay, I retract that statement.
Well, not retract. Just is it feasible?
But what will happen? I mean, there are soft cap changes.
Yep.
So he took up so much of the soft cap that their assistant coaching, their footy department spend was heavily hampered by Alastair's big contract for a club that doesn't have much money anyway. So surely now they bolster their assistants around Alastair and they make changes there. Because I'm sorry, if there's no improvement next year, then you have to question the coaching.
Of course.
And you have to question the development.
You can question it now.
Well, we are, but I mean... Yeah. They needed to improve this year, and frankly,
it's disappointing.
You feel like they've gone backwards.
Well, they haven't gone forwards. Whether they've gone backwards, they're.
Do you think, Gleeson, as I would suggest, is the case that they have been given cover by Carlton and Essendon being big and
they're given cover by that. They've been given
and been covered by even West Coast.
Well, they're given cover by the fact that they're small and.
They're North Melbourne.
North Melbourne. We tend not to dwell on them, and largely that's for the same broadcast. It's the same thing. The number of readers, the number of listeners, the number of viewers aren't there for when you're covering North Melbourne. They escape the scrutiny to the same extent. If it was Essendon sitting here 6th year in a row, bottom 2
with that much access,
access.
But it's also the Broadway thing. So their biggest games, Good Friday, debacle. They're absolutely thrashed by Carlton. Then you have the 100-year game, which off-field there were issues with people having their noses out of joint about who was asked and who wasn't and where they were sitting and whether it was a buffet or a sit-down dinner and all that palaver. And they came out and dished out.
No, I thought they were better in that game.
Oh, God.
I was at the game. I thought they were competitive. They were competitive for 2.5 quarters. So I didn't mind their game against the Bulldogs in that 100-year game compared to some of the other efforts.
And nobody showed up. They got the crowd was in the 20s. So
it was 25,008.
So this is not a team that is going places on any level, on any measure.
So on that optimistic note, we'll take a break, come back with quick questions.
Get
access to every episode as it drops. Hit subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Send it long now. Jez is staying down. Whistle. Jez kicks it. Do they pay the advantage for 11? They have! Oh, Jez has got 11! He can do no wrong!
Welcome back. Straight into quick questions. And Jake, your favourite team playing at home, Geelong. Jeremy Cameron on 69 goals. Can he get to 100? It would probably require 100 in the finals. But do you think he can get to 100 given he's kicked 11 against North, beaten them up, and they've got a bunch of home games still, and they've got games against
the numbers say he can.
Yeah.
The numbers say he can because he's got 4 games to go, and if he kicked, well, he's not going to kick 8 a game, but if he has 3 finals, let's say 3, you might get 4, but let's say 3. So if he gets 3 finals, that's 7 games, 7, you'd have to kick 5 goals. Is that right? 5 goals a game.
Yeah, you'd want to think Alastair next weekend will do a better job on him than North Melbourne defenders.
Yeah, but it's not, they've got some soft games.
Well,
and I'm not trying, by the way, the Geelong supporters out there, I'm not having a go at Geelong. It's not Geelong's problem. This is an AFL problem.
Yep.
So they've got Port Adelaide, Essendon at Cardinia Park, Sydney at the SCG and Richmond in the last round. The games that
Port Adelaide at Cardinia Park.
Mm-hmm. Port Adelaide and
Essendon. Could get there. Might get there next week.
Well, across those games, he could easily average 5 goals a game.
Yeah, 5 for those games.
And so that gets him to basically to 90, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then you need to get in the finals. Yeah, he can absolutely do it.
Yeah.
Be a great thing for footy, actually, if he did do it. Notwithstanding what I said about the fixture, it'd be great to see a century goal kicker again because it's something I didn't think I would ever see again.
And it's not like, even though that 11 goals is skewed a bit by the Kanga's dreadful performance, he's a beautiful player and you don't begrudge him 100 goals.
No, not at all. Champion.
Caro, Harley Reid's season looks to be over with an injury. Where do you reckon he'll play next year?
I think West Coast. I'm horrified by the money that's being talked about. I think it's just obscene, to be frank. And if it's right that, I heard Matthew Lloyd say on 3AW he was holding West Coast to ransom, and we're hearing this $2 million a year West Coast are prepared to pay. I mean, that is just, it's poor by the management. It's a dumb decision for Harley Reid, who hasn't earned that sort of money anywhere near. I know that Craig Vozzo said Essendon are very much still in the hunt. I would be amazed if Essendon are prepared to pay the sort of money that the management are talking about. I just don't think a third-year player, for his own sake, particularly one as undisciplined as Harley Reid, I'm not saying he's not going to be a great champion one day, should get that sort of money. It's wrong.
He's on scheduled payments for the 3rd year. So next year he cannot get more than the scheduled payment. Just to make that clear. I'd be very surprised if he wasn't playing for the Eagles next year. Yep. Very surprised. And there's a number of reasons for that. I wrote about it earlier in the year, but one of the reasons is the draft quality. Because deals like this, it's very hard to get a player like that traded without, you basically have to use early draft picks because you don't swap the equivalent player. The club that's going to lose that player doesn't swap that player unless that player wants to leave, which they never do. So I think it's almost certain that I'd be shocked if he wasn't at the Eagles next year. And after that, well, I think the betting more lately has favoured him signing a short-term deal with potentially with an option, which is the contract that Josh Kelly signed all those years ago, which was 2 years and then 8, and he had the option, not the club.
But if he signed 2 years or 1 year and then 8 with West Coast and at the $2 million figure, how's that going to be for team morale?
Well,
which a team that's pretty low on morale anyway.
I'll give you another factor that comes into this, Tasmania. Because what do you think Tasmania could pay Harley Reid? It would be over and above. Tasmania will have the capacity to do over and above what other clubs can, the way that the deals are lining up.
They've made it clear they want to go to a club that's going to win.
Yep.
Straight away. They've rejected North Melbourne. They've rejected St Kilda.
They also made pretty clear they expect Tasmania to win. That'd be the sort of marquee
signing.
Well, I
guess so. Yep.
They're not setting him up to fail, sort of thing.
Anyway, look, we're dealing with. I think one thing we're going to have to, all of us, get our heads around a little bit is that the salary cap is going to go climbing towards 20 million. So some of these numbers we're in this period now where they're going to look ridiculous. And I agree on that front, absolutely. But in 3-4 years' time, there's going to be a hell of a lot of $1 million players.
Okay.
Too young to build a team around him.
Colchester had one of his best games yet, and an outstanding return to footy. Will he be the difference for the Hawks going into September? Building to September and then in September?
Yes.
No, he'll be a difference, but Will Day will be potentially the difference if they give it a crack.
Yeah, I mean, the week before in the wet in Tasmania, Cal Shadir's performance was just extraordinary for a big bloke. And then he backed it up with that performance on the weekend. I love what he's doing.
He's a big bloke that still doesn't look like a big bloke. Like he still looks like a schoolboy footballer. He's not got the meat on his bones.
He can jump though.
Oh, he can jump, and the reach.
Yeah.
You know,
but he's got some sort of X factor, like he just knows he can do it.
Yeah.
And like all good marking players, Jack Rewalt was like this notably, and Wayne Carey, when they're going for the ball and they're in the pack, they end up retrospectively looking like they're the only player going for the ball.
Like they are the pack.
Like they are the pack. Everyone else is just collapsing around them and they're going for the ball, putting their arms up. He's very like that. But he's also, to have spoken to him this year, he's an really impressive young guy. Like with his, he's talking about his father and his father's diagnosis and death and talking about it very frankly. Just I thought this guy, for someone of his age, he was unusually mature.
Yeah. Having said that, it's a big task to beat the Crows at home next weekend.
Oh, the form they're in, they're just looking.
So some good
brilliant
games next week.
Thank heavens.
Thank heavens indeed. Thanks to you both. That's all we've got time for this week. Thanks for joining us. Thanks also to Channel 7 and Fox Footy for the audio we've used in this episode. If you'd like to get in touch, you can do so via email, realfootypod@theage.com.au. Don't forget to subscribe, rate and review wherever you get your podcasts. The Expert Tips podcast will be back on Thursday. Catch you then.